Secondary trauma is basically anytime you are experiencing a traumatic scenario, and it's in a second format. So you're hearing a story, which obviously is the mechanism through which it will be communicated with um, social media. The research is showing that that has a neurological impact on our brain in many contexts that's similar to how acute trauma occurs. And what people don't realize about secondary trauma is that you're storing it in your body and you're not even aware that it's happening. I was watching a movie called Antoine Fisher years ago where there was a scene in there where Antoine kind of says, "Why does everybody always got to leave me? My mother left me, my Jesse left me, now you." And I started sobbing in the movie theater uncontrollably when he said, "Why does everybody always got to leave me?" And it was shocking to me because I didn't have parents that abandoned me. None of that occurred. And if you watch the movie, you'll understand the context of that statement for Antoine. But I went back and had a conversation with my supervisor at the time, trying to understand why I had such an emotional outburst that didn't really seem connected to anything that I had personally gone through. And he started asking me stories, and he basically said, "Well, tell me." I was working at a group home at the time with kids that had been abandoned, neglected, and abused, and he just started asking me stories. And I started basically saying, he said, "Well, what happened with this kid? And tell me this kid's story, and tell me this story." And what I realized at that moment, and it really kind of connected with me, and I talk about this in my trainings nationally, is that by that point, which is about 2 years into my work at that group home, this was story after me hearing story after story, reading file after file of children that had been abandoned and abused. And I had been taking that into my body, taking that into my brain, and storing it. And it literally took a movie scene for that trauma stored in my body to start the process of release.